Welcome to the Well Path podcast, where we sit down with experts and entrepreneurs across fitness, nutrition, mindfulness, and spirituality, offering you an inside peek at building a business and a life that is truly aligned. I'm your host, Brooke Robbins. Let's get into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Well Path podcast. I am your host, Brooke Robbins. The episode title for today is Stay Single Until You Love Your Life. And I posted a video on Instagram with this headline about this topic. And over the last week and a half, I have received multiple messages from women asking questions like, is it possible to love my life and still want partnership? And how fulfilled am I supposed to be, or can I expect to be on my own if I'm somebody who genuinely does want partnership? And it's occurred to me that this statement, stay single until you love your life, can be very easily misunderstood or at least oversimplified. So this episode is going to be diving into what it means, what it doesn't mean, the nuance around it. And this is really a mindset and a frame of mind that is all about empowering you to build a life that gives you agency and choice. This episode and this topic and this phrase is not about eliminating a desire for partnership. And we're going to get into this in a lot more detail, but it is about giving you agency and empowering you so that you can operate from a true abundance mindset rather than operating from a place of scarcity, fear, or desperation. And I want to actually open this episode with a bit of a personal experience and a personal story, because this is a lived and learned lesson from my lifetime, okay? When I met my ex-fiance, I did not love my life yet. I was 24. I had lukewarm friendships. I was just starting out of my career. I didn't feel excited about where I lived. I was actually, in fact, already seeking opportunities to go abroad and shake things up. I was feeling very disoriented and disillusioned and honestly not satisfied with the way that my life was at that time. And when I got into this relationship, the relationship quickly became an escape from my life rather than a complement to an already full life. And when a relationship becomes the best part of your life, it becomes very hard to leave, even when it's not right. And even when staying requires you to abandon yourself in small or even big ways. And that is a point that I really want to drive home. If you have not taken the time and the effort to create a life that is full, that you are genuinely excited about and happy inside of before getting into a relationship, and then you get into a relationship, it is going to be very hard for you to leave that relationship when the red flags start to arise, when you realize these certain incompatibilities, when the relationship asks you to abandon yourself to maintain connection, because you're going to be terrified to leave, because you know that you weren't really in a place of stability and happiness and joy and ease before. And so it's going to be really, really, really difficult for you to make the decision to go back there. If you weren't feeling steady in your life before the relationship began, you will not be steady after it ends. This is where you see breakups that become earth-shattering and destabilizing. If you have ever been in a situation where after a breakup, you experience extreme weight loss, depression, extreme bouts of anxiety, that is not normal. Breakups are hard, but they shouldn't dismantle your entire sense of self. And they really don't have to. But with that being said, I feel like most people at some point in their lives go through that kind of a breakup. And usually the reason for that is because that relationship was built on an unsteady foundation. Meaning, again, you create a relationship on a foundation of a life that doesn't yet feel full. You don't have your own sense of self, your own genuine sense of identity outside of this person. Then the ending of that relationship and the fracturing of that relationship will feel genuinely earth-shattering and will shake you to your very core in a way that if you experience a breakup from a place of security, you've already had a full life, you are in a relationship with somebody, and you break up, you can absolutely be really sad about it and experience grief about it and have big waves of emotion about it, but it isn't going to fundamentally shake you at your core in the way that these other types of breakups maybe have in the past. And this really gets into the cost of needing partnership rather than choosing it. When partnership becomes a need, it disempowers you. It pulls you into chasing energy, and it makes self-abandonment inside of a relationship almost inevitable. The key to maintaining autonomy in any situation in life is maintaining the ability and willingness to walk away. Needing somebody to regulate your life puts you in a position where you tolerate harm, you override your intuition, you probably stay longer than you should. When you feel like you need somebody to survive and operate and maintain a sense of self, walking away will feel impossible. And I want to be really clear about this. That is not love. That is attachment and survival. This podcast is about empowering you to live life on your terms. And that includes maintaining the ability to walk away. This is where the nuance comes in, okay? It doesn't mean that you don't love the person that you're in a relationship to. Or if you're single, it doesn't mean that you don't desire partnership. Or if you're in a relationship, right, it doesn't mean that you're not so thrilled to have that person in your life and you desire to keep them in your life. It just means that if for any reason the relationship ends, you're okay. And again, it doesn't have to be your preference. You don't have to prefer to be single. You can still want to be in a relationship, but knowing that it's a choice and it's not a need. Now, I mentioned I'd received a number of messages over the last week or so in relation to this topic, and I received a voice note from a listener. I don't have permission to play the voice note, but I do want to paraphrase what this woman said and quickly respond to it here because it was such a fabulous question. And I think it's something that actually everybody can benefit from listening to, and we should talk about it all together. Let's call her Marina. Marina is a woman who has been doing a lot of emotional regulation work. She's working on herself. She's feeling really connected to herself. She's working on building a life that feels really full. She's still wondering why she doesn't feel deeply fulfilled outside of partnership. And the core question that she's asking herself is it realistic to feel 100% happy alone when she is somebody who does actually desire partnership? And I think this is a phenomenal question. And this is the aspect that often gets very much misunderstood. Humans are wired for connection. Wanting partnership does not mean something is wrong with you. In fact, most of us want that kind of connection. Most of us want partnership. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It is also okay to be sad sometimes that you don't yet have somebody to share your life with in that way. The goal is not complete self-sufficiency to the point where you want to stay single forever. It's inner steadiness and staying single until you feel steady enough to welcome someone into your life without immediately forfeiting all of your boundaries and standards. In other words, the message here is not stay single forever. It's stay single until you love your life enough, so much in fact, that you will only let somebody into it that fundamentally makes it better and adds peace and joy and love and fulfillment to your life. It does not mean that you don't want love. It doesn't mean that you never feel lonely. It doesn't mean that you don't desire intimacy. It means that you build a life that you don't feel you need to escape from. It means that you create enough internal and external stability in your life that you can choose rather than cling to somebody who might enter your life romantically. And it means that you make sure that your relationships are additive, but not necessary for survival. When you love your life, and I want to make this point really clear, chaos is easy to spot. When you don't yet love your life, you might not necessarily recognize when somebody is coming into it and actually creating chaos and distracting you from your purpose, your mission, your friendships, the other things going on in your life. When you are already super steady and peaceful and secure, the energy that somebody is bringing when they come into your life romantically becomes very, very obvious to spot. Peace becomes your baseline, not something that you're subject to negotiation. And that just allows you to have a much higher level of discernment around the types of connections that you are actually interested in welcoming into your life. Because here's the thing. For most of us who desire partnership, you want partnership, yes, but not at any cost. You want the type of partnership that adds to your life. Otherwise, why would you want it, right? But when you are coming from a place of feeling like you absolutely need it, you're going to feel a lot of temptation to shapeshift, to shift your boundaries, to lower your standards, just to fill the void. And I want to be super explicit here because I think it's really important. Personally, I want partnership. Personally, I believe that the right relationship will expand my life in immeasurable ways. And the level of happiness and fulfillment that I have now, which is very high, will be amplified with a romantic partner that is right for me in it. I am genuinely very excited for that. And I am also 100% okay on my own until that time comes. And I know that when the right person enters my life, they will add value and add peace and add joy and add fulfillment into my life. And if I meet somebody in the interim who brings chaos or doesn't meet my vision for what I want out of partnership, I am not going to get distracted by that, because I don't feel like there's this imminent void that absolutely needs to be filled in my life. Desire is openness, excitement. It is an expansive emotion. Need is self-abandonment, clinging, desperation. It is a contraction energy. The moment that you feel like you need someone or something, you are almost guaranteed to abandon yourself at some point. And so this begs the question, what does it look like to create a life that you don't need to escape from? What does it look like and what can you actually tactically do? What are the components of a life that feels full outside of a relationship so that you can actually welcome partnership into your life in a healthy way oriented around desire and not need? There are a couple of key elements. One, building an ironclad sense of self, self-worth, self-discipline, self-respect. Become somebody that you are genuinely proud of outside of a relationship, okay? That is first and foremost, getting really clear on who you are, what your vision for your own life is, and having a direction that you are moving to and moving towards outside of a partner that may come to join you on that journey. Part of that is understanding your core values. Part of that is understanding your broader life mission, life purpose, life vision. What are you working on? What are you working towards? And then part of it is making sure that you are in the habit of keeping promises to yourself. Self-respect comes from self-discipline, which is really just a way of saying, do you take the things that you say seriously? Do you follow through on your word to yourself? The second piece is friendship. Friendship, and I have a couple of episodes on this. There's an episode called Friendship is the Highest Form of Love. Friendship is so important. It is so important. And I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. One, friendship is an amazing form of love because it's one that's actually not necessary, right? When you think about it, it's not like necessary for procreation, but it adds so much value to our lives. And your friends, subconsciously or consciously, set the bar for how you expect other people to treat you. That is just a fact, okay? And when you have really strong friendships, meaning people that see you, understand you, genuinely care for you, show up for you, that sets a very specific standard and a very specific bar for a potential romantic partner to live up to. And that is healthy. You want that. You want to have high standards for the person that you're potentially going to spend the rest of your life with, for somebody that is going to impact your life in immeasurable ways. And building really strong friendships also provides you with an incredible support system. It provides you with inspiration and expansion in your life. And most importantly, it allows you to recognize that even outside of romantic connection, you are not alone. And in fact, you have so much love in your life, even if it's not romantic love. And the third thing is you need to really be working towards something. And whether that is your career and you have like really strong career goals, maybe it's a passion project, maybe you have like a couple of hobbies that you're really excited about, having goals and things that you are moving towards and driving momentum towards is the thing that allows you also to maintain a sense of autonomy over your own life, okay? Which is going to help you before you get into a relationship, again, to feel like your life is full and you have, momentum in your life that's happening independent of somebody else. But also, if you get into a relationship, it's going to give you your own sort of independent sense of purpose and movement and initiative, which is very important to be able to maintain that willingness and ability to walk away. That is going to allow you to know that you're not going to abandon yourself, shrink yourself, change your standards, alter your boundaries to keep somebody in your life. And that is ultimately what creates and perpetuates a foundation of trust within yourself. As you guys know, one of the biggest themes of this podcast is self-trust. And the reason why that's so important is it really underpins everything else that you do in your life. And your ability to trust in your own feelings and trust in your own decisions and trust in your own path is really the most important muscle that you can build, because it's what allows you to move through life in a much more peaceful and easeful and aligned way. So stay single until you love your life is really just a way of saying, make sure that you know yourself and have connection and have a mission and have a vision and have your own world before you welcome somebody into it, so that a relationship adds to your life rather than steering you off course. You want the relationship to be the wind at your sails, not a wind that takes you in the complete wrong direction and it's a massive detour, and then you end up having to spend all of this extra time and energy to get back on track. With all of that being said, I want to offer a few reflection questions. I'm going to share these out loud. If you're walking, running, driving, feel free to just think about these for a moment. You can, of course, pause the video and come back to it. If you want to come back to this later or even right now, pause the video and journal on these questions. I also love these as journaling prompts. But they're as follows. Number 1, does my current life give me the ability to walk away if I need to? Be really honest with yourself. That's the first question. Sub-question to question number 1. If not, what is one action step that I can take this week to move in that direction? Okay. Maybe you identify some gaps. Maybe your friendships aren't that strong. Maybe you lack direction in your career. Maybe you feel a little bit unsteady, like you are living in a city that you know you don't want to live in, but you haven't figured out where you want to go yet. Whatever it is, come up with one action step that can bring you closer to clarity in that situation to get you closer to that. Number 2, am I choosing my relationships currently or clinging to them? Again, be brutally honest with yourself. Whether it's dating or friendships or connections, the relationships that you are currently cultivating in your life, do you feel like you are choosing them, or are they coming in because you're filling a void? Food for thought. Number 3, how might I feel and act differently in dating and relationships if I felt truly internally stable? I want to close with just a reminder and to summarize, you do not need to be 100% happy and fulfilled alone. If partnership is something that you want in your life, that's beautiful. Do not deny that of yourself. Be honest about the things that you actually want and that you're calling into your life. If partnership is one of them, amazing. You do, however, need to be steady enough to choose yourself, even when it's hard, even when there's care there, even when there is strong desire, even when there is attachment. And you should stay single until you love your life and feel steady enough to welcome somebody in on your terms. If you're listening to this and currently navigating transition, relational clarity, maybe you're struggling with self-abandonment inside of your relationships, I do offer one-to-one coaching. You can book a call through the link in the show notes. It's also in my bio and Instagram and TikTok. I would love to chat with you guys. But otherwise, I hope this episode was helpful. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. I feel like it's a big one. Please feel free to DM me anytime. I love hearing from you guys. If there are other topics that you want to be covered in future episodes, please let me know as well. My inbox is open, so I would love to chat with some of you guys there. I hope that you all have an amazing week ahead, and I will see you next Monday.